All right, ladies and gentlemen, how are you guys doing today on this Wednesday, April the 13th, 2022? Thank you for joining me here tonight for another metallic episode of Music of Destruction. Bringing you guys the very best in metal-related content right here on YouTube on the only metal channel you need. It really is. If you guys missed anything in the past week, bring that eye down in the upper right corner of the screen. Everything you need to get caught up on all of the latest videos is there. I'd really appreciate it. Remember to hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell so you know when I post a new video. Now, this is one of the hardest working metal channels on the platform. Brutally honest, upfront, and opinionated and controversial. Don't like it, go watch somebody else. Welcome to Album Ranking Wednesdays here on the channel. Once again, tonight we're going into some pretty unprecedented territory for a ranking of a band that I'm sure many of you know about, or maybe you don't, with Tool. Yes, guys, Tool. I am a big fan of Tool and have been since 1996 when I first heard Enema, okay? Now, whether or not you're a fan of Tool is of no concern to me because in my mind, they're one of the most incredible bands on the planet for so many reasons, including their intense focus on psychedelia and enlightenment and their unconventional approach to creating some of the most mind-bending progressive albums of all time. The fact that Tool are still going strong since 1993 is a true testament to the band's legacy and relevance, of course, though we had to wait 13 years for their most recent offering with Fear Inoculum really doesn't matter because that album was well worth the wait, ladies and gentlemen. Now, before we get into the ranking, let's take a quick look at the band's biography. Now, Tool established themselves as one of America's most enduring and unpredictable acts with an ever-evolving brand of muscular but mind-altering sonics, a wry sense of humor, and of course a mystical aesthetic that attracted a cult-like following of devoted fans with just a handful of albums spread across decades. Their greatest breakthrough was to meld dark underground metal with the ambition of art rock, creating multi-sectioned layered songs as if they were classical composers. All while embracing the artsy, they also paid homage to the relentlessly bleak visions of grindcore, death metal, and thrash. Now, even with their post-punk influences, they executed their music with the sound and feel of prog rock, alternating between long, detailed instrumental interludes and lyrical rants in their songs. Debuting in the early 90s with Undertow, which is their first full length. They had Opiate before that, which is an EP. They were initially lumped into the new metal contemporaries of the time, which made them hit on rock radio with their sophomore effort. However, 1996's Enema, they soon broke away from those associations, evolving beyond the confines of traditional song structuring and song lengths, crafting epics that often clocked in past the 10-minute mark on LP Head Trips Lateralis and 10,000 Days. After a lengthy 13-year hiatus, they returned to the fold in 2019 once again with their fifth opus, the chart-topping, Grammy-nominated Fear Inoculum. Now in 2022, they celebrated their 30th anniversary with Opiate Squared, which is a re-recorded version of their debut single. Now the lineup is as follows: Danny Carey on drums, who by the way is one of the best fucking drummers in the world, Adam Jones on guitars, Justin Chancellor on bass, and of course Maynard James Keenan, who is also in A Perfect Circle and has a solo project called Pussifier. Alright, so let's just get into the ranking, shall we? Coming in at number 6, we have Opiate, the EP released in 1992 on Volcano Records. This is a good EP. This was a good introduction to Tool at the time, although I heard Enema before I heard Opiate. Opiate is a decent record. It's more just alternative metal with some progressive influences, not really getting into the deep psychedelia of their later work with this EP. It's still really decent for what it is. Of course, there isn't a bad Tool release in my opinion, but Opiate certainly had a lot more of just a regular sound compared to their later stuff that would come after. But yeah, Opiate gets number 6. Coming in at number 5, Undertow, released in 1993 on Volcano Records. Undertow is a really good sophomore follow-up. This is when they would firmly establish themselves in the progressive psychedelic metal scene at the time. And Undertow, again, doesn't have as much psychedelia going on, but there still is some deeper compositions happening on this. It is a very bleak album for what it is, and there's some great instrumentation on here, production and vocal work by Maynard James Keenan and company. But again, it still pays more in homage to just straight up progressive metal than psychedelic metal, but it's still a solid release. Number 5, Undertow. Coming in at number 4, 10,000 Days, released in 2006 on Volcano Records once again. 10,000 Days is a very psychedelic, deep, contemplative, enlightening experience with some fascinating head trips that sway back and forth between really faster epics, but also really slow mind-bending, mind-melding psychedelic experiences, and lots of enlightenment textures going on in the guitar work and things of that nature. Very, very strong head trip. 10,000 Days gets number 4. Coming in at number 3, the only Tool album that I have right now, Lateralis, released in 2001 on Volcano Records. One of my favorite Tool albums of all time, of course. This is a very powerfully psychedelic album that lends more of itself to DMT and experiences of that nature, much like 10,000 Days. This is a very deep, contemplative listening experience with tons and tons of progressive epics that draw you into its alien-like world of psychedelia, enlightenment and strength and power, but mostly this is a very otherworldly experience for a Tool album, and Lateralis is just absolutely incredible. Gets number 3. Coming in at number 2, their most recent release, Fear Inoculum, released in 2019 on Volcano Records. This is another DMT trip type album with so much emphasis on separation and removing yourself from fear. It's ego loss, it's psychedelia, it's tripping, it's a very complex record, and I'm going to be getting this album and reviewing it in depth, so expect a pretty long review out of that. But Fear Inoculum is a difficult album to articulate simply because of how deep and contemplative and psychedelic and deep it really is, especially in the lyrical department, but also the instrumentation and the progressiveness of this album is off the charts. It's an absolutely incredible mind-bending experience. Fear Inoculum gets number 2. Coming in at number 1, Enema, released in 1996 on Volcano Records. Still my favorite Tool album. It's got a lot of that heaviness that Undertow had, but a lot of LSD-induced psychedelia on this record. A lot of mushroom-like psychedelia, mushrooms and LSD psychedelia and tripping on this album. I remember listening to this album so many times when I did psychedelics in my younger years, and it just blew me away. It still does to this day. I saw them live back in 1997 as they were touring this record, and it fucking blew me away. I was on shrooms with a buddy, and we went and saw them, and it was just, I'll never forget it. This was one of the most compelling, emotionally experienced concerts I ever had. And Tool's Enema is just so goddamn good. I don't know of any other progressive metal album that could top Enema, in my opinion, and I'm not a big prog metal guy, but Tool is one of those bands that you cannot overlook if you want a deeper listening experience and you want something to trip out to. Put on any fucking Tool album, because that's what they're all about. Psychedelia and enlightenment and depth and just crazy emotional experiences and positive experiences on all these albums. It's not negative music. This is really uplifting stuff with Tool, and just a absolute masterpiece. Enema gets number 1. Alright, so there you have it, another album ranking in the books here on Music of Destruction. I hope you guys enjoyed the premiere. If you're new, subscribe, turn on the notification bell. Merchandise available, teespring.com/music-of-destruction, as well as bonfire.com/store/music-of-destruction. Join the channel, become an MOD Elite, get amazing perks, $4.99 per month. Hit that join button, get exclusive content, review requests, banner interviews, and much, much more. Have an awesome night, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, share this video. We will see you for Top 15 Thursdays for my Top 15 Metal Albums of 1993. Cheers, everybody.